Welcome back, everybody, to the daily show where I'll be breaking down the big mega cap stocks. So, before we get started, please hit that like button, and that is greatly appreciated. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. Now, if you want to get fantastic daily trade ideas, swing trade ideas, live trading, and all kinds of long term and short term setups, definitely check out my link down in the description for Patreon. And now, let's get right into the market. All right, so welcome back, guys. And you can see the market is down. Dow slides 870 points, and you guys will see a trade on DIA here shortly. S&P drops percent for the worst day since October on Trump's tariff threat. Netflix posts their earnings beat, reports 325 million global subscribers. You'll find out Trump says that Greenland takeover strategy. He's still after Greenland, and a lot of things are taking place at this moment. And look at what market did today. Dow was actually down 1.76%, advancing 26, declining almost 71. So that actually tells the story what happened to the market today. Nasdaq took a massive beat down today, down 2.39%. S&P down 2%. We got Russell going down 1.20%. 11 sectors. What do we have here? Basic materials led the way on top, then consumer defensive, and pretty much everything else just got big hit today. You'll see it on stock market map. Technology took the most, down nearly 3%, and then consumer cyclical. Stock market map, nothing different here. You can see pretty much red across the board and a lot of red here on the big names. Nvidia, 4.5, Broadcom, 5.5 almost, Microsoft over 1%, Apple, 3.5 almost, Oracle almost 6%. You got Google down 2.5, Meta over 2.5, 4%, Amazon 3.5 almost. Financial was also down pretty much big time today. So everything actually took a massive beating today, except some names like household names and beverages. These things were up for the day. We got some data coming out tomorrow, pending home sales. Then we got GDP, initial jobless claims, core PC that's coming out on Thursday. And then Friday, we got Michigan consumer sentiment that's going to move the market. Fear and greed index, you can see now it's at 48. We're on neutral over the weekend. It was actually on greed. So it only took one day for us to move back into neutral. And we'll see how that goes if we go back into fear or we get some sort of a rally in the market in next few sessions. So let's talk about Apple today because that is the one I think a lot of people are waiting to hear what is next and what's Apple going to do. On Apple, stock is down 3.46%. So I know a lot of people are pretty much interested on Apple. I know it does not look like a bullish chart, but this is where I come in because I don't buy things that are actually at all-time highs and looking extremely bullish, something like SNDK or AMU at all-time high. Those are not the things that I would buy, but this is fantastic, guys. We were talking about it in my video, in my last video, that 250, but look at what we got in today here on Apple. We got some shares of Apple. And look at what happened today. Intraday, 243 came, and from there, an immediate $3 bounce. Now, a couple of things I want to show you guys. Look at this. This is Apple. I'm not making a video on some junk penny stocks, something like EMU or even SNDK. I'm not talking about those names or even some of the other names. It's 17, and you have to go far, far way back to find Apple RSI at 17. I mean, you got to go pretty much a couple years back. So if you tell me this is not oversold and this is not a dip, I don't know what a dip look like. This is a fantastic opportunity. Now, with that being said, they also have earnings coming up. So if you're buying calls, very risky unless you buy leap calls like, maybe 1 year out or something. But it can go down a little bit more, maybe another 5, $10. That's possible. I think we can go and we talked about it in my video also that it might come down and hit that daily 200 SMA. But Apple here, guys, the cheaper it gets, the better you can get in, the better price. Today was a fantastic opportunity. Is it gonna go down even more? I don't know, but it's really oversold. If you look at Apple's history, when it gets to that level, really oversold, the buyers did show up. Even today, I mean, look at this right here on 5 minute chart. What happened in the last minute? It was 243 and we finished at 247 almost. This is really good buyers stepping in. Look at that, or even let me just drop it to that 30 minute. You can see a lot of volume came in at the end of the day to buy the dip, to pick up the dip because it's really oversold. So in the short term, I think the next key support, we did hold this key zone right about you can see 244, 243, a couple of candles down here that came down. It was actually holding. And then from there, we went slightly lower, but then went back up and held that support. So 244, that is a zone, but the key support zone below 250 would be right down here, previous rejection, previous rejection, previous rejection. Now that can act as a support 241.41. And I hope we don't have to go that far in the near short term to get a bounce. I think if this thing crosses 250 come tomorrow, easily, like we did fill that gap on top a couple days ago, we can fill this gap before earnings, which I think next week, right here, right about 255. So this was really, playing out. We had this bear flag. We talked about it in my video. It actually broke out of it over the weekend, last week on Friday, and we got the follow through today. So it's really oversold. We could see some sort of a bounce back up to 255. That is very doable on Apple, and that should be a short-term target if you're playing Apple and you have to get out before earnings. Unless you're buying shares and you're really long, going on Apple, then you can hang on because the cheaper this thing goes, the better opportunity you get on Apple stock. So watch out these two things, that 244 support and then 241.41. Below that we have a gap at 234. To the upside, 250 breaks, we could be going into 255s to close the gap. And I think with earnings coming up, people that are also shorting, they would cover their short position and a lot of things will play out. And if there is some good news, that's another thing, guys. There is some good news that comes out, uh, with that Greenland stuff from Europe and Trump, some sort of a negotiation, which we all know how Mr. Taco will do, later on. Uh, he'll possibly make a deal. And if that's the news that's going to come out in next maybe few days or who knows, few hours, because anytime that can happen, right? Then you'll see, possibly a gap up and go here on Apple, and that dip would not last here for too long on Apple stock. On AMD, it's absolutely flat on the day, but AMD was up to a new high, at least bar to bar. It actually made a new high, almost going up to that next resistance right here, just over that 240 mark, almost at 241. So AMD definitely, if the market was really bearish today, you would see a lot of these names like AMU, AMD, SNDK, just crashing down, and that was just not the case. So it's based on just some geopolitical catalyst, things that are happening around stock market. That's why you're seeing a reaction, which could be also coming in a positive way. So AMD here, guys, we got over that 235, came back in. We do have strong support at 226. We did hold the support today, did not fill the gap. So 226 holds. We could be going back up to 235, 241, and maybe even higher. Earnings are coming up next month. It's not too far away. But if this thing drops below 226, we could be filling the gap at 224. That should act as a support. Underneath that, we have support at 220. Then we have support at 217, 20-day moving average. And then we have this trend line about 214, and then this gap at 210 on AMD. Where's my X account? And if you guys are on there, definitely give me a follow. And there is no subscription, nothing. It's totally free. And I want to share some trade ideas that we got paid today. Was pretty big. And you can see IWM puts 255, April 17. Then we got KRE puts. Then we got DIA puts doubling down at brand new all-time high. And what happened today, guys? Low puts, that was another one that we took. We added more, and today that one was also down. So all the puts got paid today, and it was really a fantastic day, seeing a lot of people making money. And that was just really awesome today, that we got finally some sort of a dip in the market. So if you're really serious about trading and you want to do this full time, definitely check out my link down in the description for Patreon. On Meta, it's down 2.60%. So Meta down to this trend line. And this is a key trend line on the weekly time frame. You can see we need to hold this, guys. If not, there could be a big drop on Meta. Now, if you look at my screen, earnings are coming up, and I think that is next week. So lots of big earnings happening. I think Apple, Microsoft, Meta, big earnings next week. This support has to hold that around that $600 level. You can see we did close right on that trend line 604. 604 to 600 gives up. Look at how much we can go down here. The next big level where we held before, it was around that 581. We could be going into like 550s. That is a long way down. But before that, I think we can jump up and possibly close the gap at 620. So watch out for that. If this thing comes back up and gets over 614, we could be going to 620 to close the gap, and then can come back up and retest this overhead supply 638 on Meta. On Tesla stock is down over 4%. So we talked about it in my video that it might be just forming a bear flag. And just like Apple, we have confirmation of a breakdown today. And you can see Tesla, I mean, what happened, guys? This was the low from all-time highs. And today we made a lower low and a lower high here. So people that were getting extremely bullish and talking about flows, 550, 600. Well, I don't think it's achievable anytime soon. We could be going down for a deeper pullback, especially with earnings coming up, unless Elon lies about earnings and just throws out a bunch of good numbers and also good guidance. Then yes, Tesla to the moon. We will see Tesla going back over 500 again. So this earnings is crucial, which I think it's going to be pretty bad, considering how Chinese companies are taking over Tesla and they're actually making better products than Tesla, way nicer, luxurious cars, where Tesla build quality is still garbage. If you go and look at the cars, the panel gaps and all that, but people still buy them, people still love these cars, which is okay. But that's where you come in as a company CEO, that people are liking your product, but then you're giving people the shit product again. You need to do better job with paints, panel gaps, and all that. And not only that, I mean, either you're gonna be a tech company and then also a car company, or you're gonna be all in one. But you cannot just separate yourself. Then say, oh, SpaceX, I'm gonna IPO this, and then first ever, trillionaire and all that. I mean, I get it, guys. It's all about the money, money, money. But when are you gonna think about people? These people, they do not think about us. So Tesla, definitely, I mean, unless some cooked up numbers, you're not gonna see any big moves, because I think he's heading towards that SpaceX thing, and that's gonna IPO at some point, and this is gonna take a beating, because I guess they're gonna IPO that thing at 1 trillion or maybe one and a half, which is gonna be all I mean, look at this right here, 1.39, and it was almost what, 2 here. So Elon Musk is gonna become what people are saying, first ever trillionaire that we will have in our lifetime. And I'm glad to see that, but it's just crazy that you make so much money, you're like your net worth is so much, but you cannot come out with some good cars, and you cannot beat these Chinese companies. And they're beating you in China, and they're beating you pretty much all over. And BYD just killing it out there, with sales and everything. So Tesla, very tough future ahead, unless Elon Musk, stops, all that tweeting and all that, putting his nose into everything. You're not gonna see a really good growth for Tesla. This was a really nice move, but again, what happened? I was talking about it in my video that, guys, when Tesla goes up like this vertical, guess what? Elon Musk and his brother and his buddies, everybody buying big blocks of calls and even shares. This is exactly what happened. And then he said he's not gonna. I think there was a tweet a couple days ago that he's not gonna sell shares. I think he's selling. Don't trust these people when they say they're not selling. They might be selling. When they say they're buying, they might be selling. So that's why Tesla is down. Keep an eye on this lower Bollinger Band 411. Underneath that, we could be rapidly coming down to close the gap right about 369. That's possible, 100% on Tesla. unless we see some sort of a move early as tomorrow to go back over 432, holds that, possibly fills the gap, and then we hold the support 50-day moving average at 442. That would look a little bit more bullish here on Tesla than what it's looking like right now. On Amazon, stock is down 3.40%. So what's funny, when Amazon was going up, and you can go back and watch my video, and again, the flows, guys, all over X, and they were buying, what was it, 300 calls on Amazon. I mean, this is getting pathetic. So the flows are just garbage, the ones that are coming out on X. And look at this. I mean, we barely got up to 250. What happened to 300 now? Look at this. It's 230, 229 came today. I know that's a catalyst and that's why it came down, but well, it did, come all the way down here now. We got a gap down. So here on Amazon, one thing I see, which I want to share with you guys, that we got these you know um higher lows here. Can we hold this right here at 229 to 228? If we can hold right here, we might see a pushback up to 236, maybe even fill the gap. So some opportunity here for you guys. Keep an eye on this. If we can get over 236 and hold this as a support after filling the gap, we could be going back up to 242 before earnings. But if this support gives up 229, we could be landing down to that 223.9 and possibly even going lower on Amazon. On Microsoft is down 1.16%. So because of earnings, Microsoft, I actually played today. It was a day trade. I got in pretty much near the lows at 450s. And then I played it back up to that 456. So it was like a $6.50 move that I caught. And it was really nice to get this move. And you can see we did not get down to that low again for the second time. So this thing, when you look at this weekly, well, we had the double top, we had the bear flag pattern, we get breaking down below the weekly 50 SMA. And now that it's not even holding that 457, it's definitely not looking good. And I mean, look at this, guys. We have this gap here near 400. And if this is going to play out, I mean, I know it's pretty far away. That's another 50, $60. I don't think that's the case. We had this bull flag pattern back in 2022, break out to a new all-time high. Then we had this bull flag pattern last year, and then we broke out to a brand new all-time high. So I think this support somehow needs to hold. We do have support around that 448, 450 zone on the monthly time frame. That's going to be crucial. But tomorrow, if this thing rises back up, wait and see if we can go back in over 462. That would be more bullish for possibly a move back up to 473. But the earnings are going to be key for this thing to move higher. Otherwise, we might see that drop down to that gap, which is going to be fantastic. I look forward to that if that happens on earnings. But as of right now, can't tell you guys much because of how this chart is definitely not looking bullish. And the dip buying also, especially with earnings coming up, it's not really a good spot to be in, to be staying in through the earnings. I think after earnings, we can buy and see where this thing lands. On Google, stock is down 2.48%. So Google was not able to close the gap. We went back up, almost close to the gap. You can see rejection from that previous rejection right here, right? 328 and some change. We did not fill the gap all the way up to 328.17. 328.09 was high for the day, and then rejected down to the 20-day, and just over the 20-day, 321. That's going to be the key support for tomorrow. If not, we could be landing down to 314. And this is also looking like a double top here too. The top number one, top number two, is that going to play out? I don't know. We have to wait and find out. But this thing was getting frothy and overbought also. If they do not come out with good earnings, we could see a significant drop. Now we do have a gap on top. If this thing can hold, looks like it's not even holding right now. If we cannot hold, then we're not filling the gap at 328. If we can hold this 20-day, we might go there. So watch out for the support 321. Underneath that, if we open underneath that support, we could be going down to 314 and even much, much lower down to like 310 to this 50-day moving average on Google. On Nvidia, stock is down 4.38%. So there were some bad news, and I mean, I would probably say it's the same news that keeps coming out. Chinese news on the chips. And this thing dropped today. So where this thing can go, if you look at my screen, we're actually trading below the lower band, which is at 180. There is a gap at 176. This 176 gap full reversal must hold for Nvidia. And definitely, if we're coming back down to this key zone 170, we cannot afford to take this out like Microsoft. If that's happening, guys, I mean, this thing would definitely go down to that 160 zone. So Nvidia, if we can recapture 180 tomorrow, maybe we get to see a push towards that 184 mark, and maybe even fill the gap before earnings at 186. This gap not even in the picture before earnings. You can see it's a it's about a month out now, more than a month. So Nvidia definitely needs to hold up here if the market is going to make a rally back up to the upside to close the gap. Nvidia needs to hold over the gap or at the gap 176. So Netflix, it was actually up in the morning, I think nearly 2%, despite the market going down, and then gave it all back, down nearly 1%. And now with earnings coming out, beating by a small margin, the subscriber growth is not really there. The stock is down right now. But I think this is the time this thing will find a bottom. I think we're trading around 84, 83, that key support zone. You can see we do have support around 83 and then this 85.5. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. There is not much I can say because of earnings. We'll see how things open tomorrow, and then tomorrow we can definitely do a deeper dive in on Netflix. And definitely, this earnings did not save the stock, so we'll save it for tomorrow and see where things open to find some more key levels. But again, just like Apple stock, it's getting pretty frothy to the downside and oversold. I think at some point very soon in near future, you're gonna see Netflix putting in a bottom and finally a reversal. On Broadcom, it's down 5.43%. So you can see Broadcom, we had this mini bear flag, then we had this, wedge type of pattern. We had the breakout, but it's happening within this massive bear flag formation right here. You can see clearly, and now that is holding on to this support right here, right about 331, 330, this trend line and the key support. If that gives up, the next one at 324. And from there, I mean, if you put this bear flag down here, I mean, that's a long way down for Broadcom if this thing is actually going to get out of this range, and especially takes out bottom of this range, which is at 324. To the upside, again, we need to get over 356.7, or I would say 357. Only if that happens in near future, we could see a pop back up to 373. And that's all I have for you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Have a great night, everybody.